Emotional behavior refers to how emotions influence individual actions, reactions, and decision making. It reflects the outward expression of internal feelings such as anger, joy, or sadness, which can shape interpersonal interactions and negative responses to various situations. In this video, you will find certain techniques, suggestions, which lead to healthier emotional responses, better relationships, and improved decision making. It reinforces that emotional behavior, while complex, can be managed with the right tools and mindset. What do you think is the right mood and emotional standpoint for work, business, or decision-making environment? Basically, all the emotions that might appear have influence on your decisions in one way or another, even emotion like joy. Sometimes, work environment could be so emotional, and to manage to keep yourself steady in these situations takes time and approach which works for you. People have many ways to manage their emotions. Some practice yoga, some people do some sports, hiking, running. It depends on your hobbies, which helps you to clean your mind and relax for a bit. The thing is, you must keep yourself steady. The best way would be to stay calm, concentrated, and focused. Remember that emotions are bad even if they are good emotions. We are not saying that you shouldn't feel any emotions when it comes to your personal life. Of course you should. It applies to work, business, or decision-making environment, where each step you take based on your emotions could be harmful. Emotions and behavior correlate with one another all the time. The way you feel can influence the way you act. That is true for any profession, any situation, or any person. For example, when you are angry or frustrated, you say some things to others that normally you wouldn't. Or, when you work under pressure which you cannot handle, mistakes might appear, because your behavior is influenced by the stress you feel under your shoulders. But when you act normally, not influenced by emotions, it's different. Sometimes, consequences can be dramatic when you make decisions based on your emotions. You must control your emotions. Period. Thoughts and emotions are inside of us, and we don't have to act on our thoughts and emotions. There are many approaches how you can keep yourself steady. But first, let's discuss main emotional behaviors that might appear. Firstly, when you feel sad, devastated or disappointed for some reason. Maybe you feel lack of motivation. Motivation is fueled by emotions. If for some reason emotions on which motivation was fueled are gone, you don't feel like doing it. Maybe you face some serious difficulties at your business and realize that it's not going to be as easy as you thought, or as someone said. Sometimes it's dangerous to act on motivation, because you will act on emotions on which motivation was fueled with, and not motivation itself. Might sound tricky, but it is the real true. For example, it doesn't require motivation to go to shower when you wake up, or to make breakfast. Track yourself, distract motivation from your work. Remember that motivation doesn't last for a long time anyway. But if you feel sad or disappointed for any other reason, it's different. It might be some arguments in a relationship, some casual life difficulties that made you sad. In that state of mind, you are forcing yourself to be in your work environment, and it will be difficult to pay your full attention there, unless you are able to manage your emotions very well and distract yourself from that, which is not that easy, especially if things that made you upset are big. And when your mind is somewhere else, you are not paying attention to details. Therefore, you are going to drop some mistakes. Maybe will be dismissed some rules with it. Anything can happen. The fact is, when you are sad, your mind is somewhere else, and you are not paying attention. And when you are not paying attention, your results will be influenced as well. Make sure you are able to put those feelings aside. Another emotional behavior, anger. In any life situation, when you act on anger, makes damage to other people around you and mostly to yourself. When people make decisions on anger, the consequences are terrible in some cases. Anger can have long-lasting impacts on your well-being, especially when it comes to decision making. You will be faced with many choices in your life, both big and small. You must make your choices carefully, because it will determine your future. Don't take decisions when you're angry, because it will impact your judgment and lead to impulsive and irrational actions. Emotional behavior under stress. There is no question about it. Everyone who is working under stress drops mistakes, unless you are able to handle it very well. When you work under stress, it affects your behavior. It can appear as a lack of interest in activities that used to be enjoyable, impulsive behavior, decreased productivity in whatever you are doing, irritability, anger, and sometimes even aggression. Your work doesn't have to be enjoyable, but you don't have to hate it or do not like it either. It never ends in best possible way when you do something what you don't like. When you feel stressed, you must find those triggers who makes you feel stressed about it, and work on those triggers. Finally, when you feel happy, behave under good emotions. Like with any other emotions, your behavior can be influenced by good emotions as well. For instance, you have achieved one of your smaller goals or just received an act of kindness, which made you feel so happy on a day. You might feel so great and lucky on a day, like everything falls into place effortlessly, and the universe seems aligned perfectly in your favor. Making decisions or simply work when you feel overly happy can be problematic. You might be over-optimistic, which leads to impulsive behavior and won't notice details, and that ultimately leads to failure. It's important to combine that optimism with careful reflection, especially when making important decisions. Remember that emotions are bad, even if they are good emotions. Fortunately, there are effective strategies to help control and channel emotions in a healthier way. Firstly, work on your triggers. Sometimes you start your working day without emotions, the way you should be, focused and concentrated. But in a way, something sparks intense emotional reaction, whichever it is, good or bad. That is called emotional triggers. Understanding and identifying emotional triggers is key to managing emotions effectively. Those triggers might be your past experiences, unresolved trauma, criticism or rejection, feeling ignored or dismissed, and many more other things. Important is to identify and start working on those triggers. Remember that the one who can master emotions can master actions, and the one who can master actions, master of the future realities. Time off. When you start to feel like you get emotional more and more often, it's important to give yourself time off. Prolonged emotional pressure could lead you to psychological burnout. Burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on prolonged or repeated stress. Though it is most often caused by problems at work, it can also appear in other areas of your life. Therefore, when you feel too much, step back and give yourself time. Distract yourself from work or toxic environment, and do the things that makes you feel alive or happy. Sometimes, even small things makes you feel way better, like a walk in nature, movie, cup of coffee in a city center, etc. Remove that stress. Look for activities that can help you with stress. Practice relaxation techniques, try to get more sleep, exercise, go to the gym, practice mindfulness. Do not surround yourself with work environment only, and take any means necessary to clean your mind. Also, do not forget to set clear boundaries between work and life. Your life isn't just your work. No distractions. Make sure to surround yourself in place with no distractions. Last thing you need is distractions which can spark your emotions in an intense working environment. Each time a task is interrupted, it can take several minutes to regain the original level of focus, which reduces overall productivity and takes longer to complete. Distractions also increase risk of errors, decreases creativity and problem-solving ability, damages working environment itself by ineffective communication, and impacts on team dynamics. Therefore, make sure there is no distractions around when you have important things to do. Seek for calm location and ask to be left alone. Also, it is important to avoid distractions in your mind as well, like thoughts about your personal life, relationships, or anything else which is not related with your work or business. Remember that your full attention is required here. Do not fly around. There will be traces of errors you made on the way just because you weren't able to concentrate. Keep yourself busy with one thing at one time. Multitasking is not what you would like to do. You might think that there's nothing wrong to keep yourself busy with something while you have a free minute at your work. However, it is harmful for quite a few reasons, starting from reduced attention, decreased productivity, and ending to increased risk of burnout and safety concerns. When you're multitasking, your mind is never really focused on any one task. This inability to concentrate can impact your professional life, but also has implications on personal experiences and relationships. When you do more tasks at once, that equals to more mistakes, because your mind is divided between them. Can you really afford those mistakes? Probably not. That's why each task should receive your full attention separately, and could save you from acting on emotions. Do the right things. Focus on solutions, not problems. When you're constantly distracting yourself from doing what's the right, you will not have peace of yourself, and that gives emotional instability. But when you do what's the right, it's a different story. It reduces guilt, anxiety, and regret, leading to a greater sense of calm and peace of mind. Also, when it seems like there are many problems, try to focus on solutions to them, and not the problems itself. By focusing on solutions rather than problems, you not only improve your ability to overcome challenges, but also develop more resilient, positive, and proactive outlook on life. Prepare in advance for difficult situations. It's not setting yourself up for failure. Otherwise, why need to do something if you know you will not going to succeed there? It's about preparing yourself for emotionally difficult times and to respond to it rationally and not based on emotions. When you will be ready mentally, it will be way easier to overcome those kinds of situations when they will actually arrive. That kind of emotionally difficult period might depend for each individual different, and for some, like public speech, might be very emotional situation already. Try to visualize calm responses. Before entering a potentially emotional situation, visualize yourself responding calmly and effectively. This can mentally prepare you to handle emotions better. Also, you have a plan. For high stress scenarios, like public speaking or conflict resolution, you have a clear plan for how you will manage both situation and your emotions. Lastly, avoid doing things just because they feel good. Nowadays, pleasure is easy accessible. You're almost never out of its sight. There will always be something, product or services. The thing is, quick pleasure mostly never leads to happiness. For a while, it will increase your dopamine levels, which gives you feeling of pleasure, satisfaction, and motivation. However, it is a temporary thing. You'll seek for that kind of pleasure more and more often, that gives you lack of meaning and can cause emptiness, reduces self-discipline. Activities like using social media, gambling, or consuming unhealthy food can create addictive cycles. These activities trigger the brain rewarding system, leading to repeated behavior and, in extreme cases, addiction. Remember that the feeling for seeking quick gains doesn't measure up to the feeling of achieving a major goal. Doing what's matter will always be the true source of happiness. Just imagine a day when you finally achieve your long-term, major goal. When all these efforts and dedicated hours pays off, it is way more valuable than constantly seeking for quick pleasure. By following these guidelines, suggestions, you should and will be able to control your emotions and make decisions based on the rational part of your brain. That would be it for this video. I hope it was worth your time and you found it useful. Consider subscribing to this channel and your like would be much appreciated.